Attention, all you fishes in the sea. Welcome to the Fisch Bowl with Sam Fisher.
Liv Field on the Fisch Bowl of Pink Breath of Heaven. Thank you for taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm excited.
Awesome, awesome. It's a pleasure having you on the show. I hope the temperature is just right. First off, I just have to say I have I've been following everything that Mike Nesbitt has been posting with Little Cloud Records up to the release of your debut album, and holy shit, what a not just like phenomenal album in general, but like I hear so many different, different genres going on throughout the entire album that, I
Right.
know Mike kind of deals more with like shoegaze and, different, neo psych and psychedelic and the different, psych genres and all that. But
Yeah.
honestly, like I kind of hear more of like a 90s vibe, especially
Totally.
like I have it written here. Sounds like a mixture of Mazzy Star, The Breeders, and a little more like in the past 20 years, Heartless Bastards. Uh,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, Magic
uh,
Star we get a lot. I love Magic Star. It's like one of my favorites.
yes, yes. And I just have to say, like, as well, you like your the album, like, I listened to a lot of different psych albums and, different music in general. And, your debut album has like it has like stuck with me in my head, like now kind of weeks after its release, and I find myself going back to certain tracks and throughout the album and really listening to it. But I just have to say, like it I also have here, it reminds me of like better times,
Mm.
like the past and everything before this insanity that we're in now. And I just had to get that out there first off to let you know that your album and your music like really not just touch me, like touch my soul. So
Wow.
I'm I am like a real you have your first diehard fan.
Wow. The hearing stuff like that, it's like it just makes it all it's some of the best things to hear, seriously, because that's kind of why I make music and why Rex and I make music. And it's seriously just to connect, it's just to like you said, touch someone's soul. And like, as musicians and songwriters, that's how we communicate. That's how we connect to our soul with others. And like, I mean, music is my life. Like I've spent my whole life doing music, and I think that music is just it's like its own language without words. I mean, there's words in music, but you're singing it. It's like the
Right.
words go into a different place. Like it's not just words, it's words in a different way. And it's just this separate thing that can connect everyone and in a way that you can't really explain. And yeah, just hearing that is really awesome. Thanks. I really appreciate it. And I'm glad, like that's the goal, I mean a goal, whatever, but like,
Right, right.
so
Absolutely. One of my goals is to help, I guess the underground scene eh, kind of, if it can be because of me or because of something I did, or giving airplay or something to, you know, outlets or whether it's film or because, I do a lot of like horror stuff, related stuff and
right.
a lot of film related stuff, but I always say like movies and music really go hand in hand. I mean, it's not just like, I mean, the score aspect of the music with the film. It's like
Right.
certain filmmakers. I mean, you can like remember a specific scene from a movie
Yes.
that's like imprinted in your head and
Yes.
it becomes like pop culture, much like with Scorsese and Guy Ritchie and Tarantino and
Yeah.
Rodriguez, also from the Texas area,
Oh yeah. I
El
used to
Rey,
know
New
Robert
York.
Rodriguez, actually. It's funny enough. When I did music, when I started doing music classes when I was like 5 or 6, his kids were also taught by my same teacher, and we would have music or piano recitals or whatever, like every month or something. And his kids would be there and they'd play, and we'd pick a house of one of the parents, and sometimes we would go to his house and it would be like, whoa, holy shit.
Wow.
And like he has his 3 kids, Rocket, Rebel, and Racer. And they were always the best. They were just like, and I was just like, shit. That guy is so crazy. He always had a black cowboy hat on in the back of
Right,
the
right.
music recital or piano recital, whatever. Yeah, it's a cool guy.
I agree. One of my I mean I specifically went to school for screenwriting, but
Oh, nice.
like the guy, him and Tarantino
Yeah.
really are like two of really my biggest, influences, especially Dusk Till Dawn, as you can see in the
Mm.
background.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
you know, the
Spy
fact that
Kids.
exactly.
So good.
Exactly, and how he does the score to all his movies, and I mean the first on the topic of like, horror and sci-fi, the
Yeah.
director that really like I think I first really gravitated towards because, he wrote, he directed, he did all the scores is John Carpenter,
Right, right.
and
Totally.
particularly the first score that I think really, like the melody and everything that I was like, this isn't just like a score that you can tell this is like a guy who has a band,
Yeah.
was Escape from New York. And really, the first John Carpenter I was old enough to see in theaters was Escape from LA. And that score, along with just the again back to the 90s and
Yeah.
the music of the time, really like that's probably my first and favorite John Carpenter, and then one of I think I just talked about this with another musician, Vampires, with
Mm.
James Woods, and one of the baller ones.
Oh, okay, cool.
It's like it takes place in Texas, the west kind of area
Yep.
between like Arizona and all that, and it has just like I mean that score is like it's like a blues rock score the whole way through.
Yeah.
And, just I think there's a difference when you hear, especially in film, like, I guess like a classically trained, musician, a composer who scores films, and then like someone who's part of a band or like
Mm.
in that area that scores stuff. Like,
Right.
I think there's a little bit of a difference in like the style and tone and different
Yeah.
music. But
Cool.
let's get back to colors make a sound. I had to plug that. I have a list here of my favorite tracks off the album, and
Cool.
I have 2 stars next to two songs in particular. I'll name them all, and then I'll tell you the my number one that really just left like a whole emotional uh,
Oh
imprint
man, I'm
on
so
me.
excited to hear what you have to
Um,
say.
and then the other one is like left like a secondary emotional imprint. The rest, and the whole album, by the way, just because I picked these songs, which is actually most of the songs off the album, the whole album is just like phenomenal.
Thank
It's
you
like
so
a
much.
real great piece of art and music. But the first track is actually the first track off the album, The Wind is Calling. I think it's a perfect like intro vibe and everything to
Yeah.
kind of get everything going. Then straight into the second track, Colors Make a Sound. That I'll just say it. That track is my probably number two in terms of like leaving an emotional imprint
Mm.
and making me just think and like bring up memories and
Right.
like just as along with creativity and inspiration and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Then I have Blue is the Morning, which I will say is my number one. I also
Yeah.
just sent that track to a radio DJ, and she's also like a musician and part of a the other half of a kind of alternative indie rap group that
Oh,
just
cool.
put out an EP together called Cuddle Me Bad.
Oh,
Really worth listening to. And the second half of that group, there are a couple, is from like the 90s with a rap kind of alternative funk group called the Five Fingers of Funk.
oh,
And he's all has solo stuff. His name is Pete Miser, and excellent from Brooklyn. His stuff is like more where there's all like the gangster rap and stuff of like the 90s.
hmm
He was like more like De La Soul and a Tribe Called Quest and stuff like that. So it's more like rap with positivity and like, feel good vibes. But
awesome.
she
I
has,
love that.
but she had a Tusa. I do not know how to pronounce her last name. She has a radio show on I think the app is Station Head
Okay.
on the West Coast. So I sent her
Cool.
that track. She was asking for, music to listen to, and I immediately was like, "This is the one song that's like really sticking with me that I
Yeah.
have to have on repeat." Especially when I'm
That's,
I'm
yeah,
like getting the herbal medicine going, everything.
totally. Yeah,
Um,
that's a lot of people's favorites. And that was the first song that I came to Rex with, my producer and co-songwriter on some of the songs. That was the first song we released as a single. And I was it's a great, I love that song, it's one of my favorites too. So yeah.
I'm just like, and I also have it here that throughout the whole album, that song and the second track, Colors Make a Sound, and just the whole
Mm,
album in general, I love how it like the tone fluctuates like up and down,
mhm.
and like, goes from like kind of soft chorus to a high chorus and
Right.
you know, just like the melody kind of, there's like low points, and then just when, you think it's going to be low, it goes to high,
Yeah.
and it just, it just like really, I think in terms of like art form and, I mean, I'm not classically, musically, I don't know exactly what like the exact lingo is, but,
Right. Oh, who cares about the lingo? I went to music
right.
school and I don't even, I'm done with that shit.
Right.
It's all about the feeling. It's all about,
Right.
it doesn't have to be complicated. It's music. It's supposed to make you just feel.
Right. Right. And I'm all about like, I really have like a pro kind of cannabis viewpoint, especially towards music and psych
hmm
rock and, rock in general.
Yeah.
I think, but particularly with like psych rock, I think that like, especially depending on the artist, depending on the mood, depending on whatever you're smoking or tripping out to,
Right.
you know, whether it's psychedelics or herbal or whatever. Uh,
Mm.
I know this because it's happened. Actually it happens with me every single time I, relax and indulge in some really great music and just, discovering stuff and uh,
Sorry.
you're you're good. You're good. I just like it. It brings out creativity, inspiration. You know, stuff that I think is the right ingredients to really elevate the mind in whatever sense.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Yeah. 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 Totally. I think it's awesome. I used to smoke a ton of weed in high school and a bit of college. And then I just started getting weirdly so anxious when I do it. But I mean, I think it would be cool to like be smoking some weed, listening to this album. Like I feel like it would be an awesome experience. I mean, maybe I should try it at some point. But I definitely do dabble with, some psychedelics and stuff like that. And I mean, I used to go really hard on that stuff when I was, a little bit younger. But yeah, I think when you listen to music, when you're in that headspace, you hear things that you didn't hear before, and you're almost just like, wow, like I am listening in a way that's just so different than the normal way I would listen. And it's almost like you're just opening up parts of your sensitivities and
Yeah.
down decreasing in other ways that take away from that sort of absorption of energy or just stuff around that you aren't normally so attuned to, especially with music. So yeah, no, I totally hear you.
Awesome. Awesome. I mean, I, I'm in no way, a druggie or, you
No,
know,
I mean, I don't care. Still be a druggie. I don't care. I used to be a druggie. Look, so uh
pothead, okay, I get my shit done,
right.
I
You
go
just
to
gotta get the
work,
shit done. That's all that matters.
you know, I'm not one of smoke weed all day, that
Right.
just party it up and don't do jack shit. I'm very productive, and
Yeah, of course.
obviously the podcast and talking to people like
Yeah,
you is a big part of it. But I you know I I, I need some form of like relaxation and
of
stress
course.
decreaser. And I think the term that I heard, I recently went to a cannabis convention, and I said I don't drink at all, but smoke reefer, and they said
Hmm.
that's called Cali sober.
Heck yeah.
I'm like,
Sober, yeah. You're sober, almost over.
right, yeah. I'm like, okay, if that's what it's called, all right, but
Yeah.
that's just whatever my tune is, uh, but no pun intended. But if I've always loved music. I've always, again, film and music hand in hand. My dad would play The Who, Tommy in the car, Pink Floyd, all that stuff when I was growing up. So I was like, I grew up in the 90s. So like I was exposed to like, the couple decades before with like the plethora of just different music that was out, from when I was like a kid to high school, and since then I've just like I've really discovered like shoegaze and all the different like neo psychedelic, and different like, subgenres and all that. And it's kind of funny because like oddly enough, my other like top favorite genre to kind of listen to right now is like doom metal.
Oh, wow.
Like
Yeah.
stoner metal, doom metal,
Oh, okay, I
like
got you.
like
Stoner metal,
like
totally, yeah.
like
Like Sleep or something, or
yeah, like old school Sabbath sounding,
gotcha,
you
yeah.
know. And I really like that. And then the other genre that I think you would totally qualify to be a part of is new wave grunge. Uh,
Mm,
I've just seen that like in the last, I want to say maybe 2, 3 years, that
yeah.
become like an actual new genre. Uh,
Cool.
and it's really cool to like see the different, musical movements going on right now. There's, of course, the big, psych wave going on with all the different,
Yeah.
you know, psychedelic bands and everything. I also see a huge like resurgence of like retro kind of 60s, 70s kind of
Right.
music. And then the other thing is, the kind of resurgence of like, grunge with new wave grunge, but it's like it's 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 not post grunge, you know,
Hmm.
the terrible,
Right.
offshoot, but it's like, like a resurgence of all the bands from like the 90s that would, qualify as like, the top,
Hmm.
alternative rock
Right.
band of the era. It's all like fusing together and, finding a way to kind of get back out there and, you know, swim around.
Right. Yeah. I'll have to look into that genre. I would love to investigate. I love hearing about new, sort of genres that are happening because, so much of what we classify as genres are stuff that was created, back in the day. And we're like, oh, the shoegaze, the top dogs, slow dive, the creators.
Right.
And I mean, I would love to learn about genres that are being, created now and like who are the founders of that. And I mean, as much as like I do talk about, like as much as I'm talking about that now, like at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like your genre doesn't like I think when you get too stuck in a genre, like too stuck in like an idea of a genre, it can almost take away from, the music itself because you're almost like listening to it, putting it in a box almost. I
Right.
think genres are a great tool. I think it's a great, and obviously I use genres to help, marketing and help, just kind of help an understanding of what we are and like, but it's, I mean, it's almost like getting too familiar with the name of something. It's like, you look at a tree and you call tree and you say tree 1,000 billion times and then you forget that it's actually like this one specific thing that's different than everything else, and so yeah, I guess I try not to get too sucked into the genres because at the end of the day, sometimes something is just exactly what it is. And I mean, there are some bands where I'm like, yeah, this just sounds like regurgitated shoegaze,
Right.
but
Right.
you know, I think that there's every piece of music has its own certain aspect that makes it exactly the way it is. And but obviously like genres are great for like discovering music, for getting music out there and for, everything in between. So yeah.
I totally agree, and I understand 100% what you're saying
Yeah,
and
yeah.
trying to get across.
Right.
I agree with that because when it comes down to it, like good music is just good music.
Right.
Oh, and yes, music just like film and comedy and pretty much everything of like the arts,
Hmm.
is could be subjective. You
Right.
know, what some people like, other people don't like.
Hmm.
And for me personally, if I were to talk to someone and they were like, my favorite band is Taylor Swift, I'd have to say, I have to walk away from you, uh, and go find somebody else to talk to.
Oh
Uh,
man, give him a chance.
you
No, I,
know,
I I hear you.
and I also have to be careful what I say about Taylor Swift because those Swifties will come after me.
Yeah, oh man, there's a lot of them. Jesus.
Yeah,
Um
you know, and I don't follow sports that much, but from what I can hear, she's like the Yoko for football.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I listened to Taylor Swift when I was maybe in middle school and like maybe the first couple years of high school, and she had some bangers. Like she had like Our Song, like original Taylor Swift, like country Taylor Swift, and Teardrops on My Guitar, like that stuff was good, but whatever. I just get tired when someone like every song is about like, a breakup or like, or it's any song that's just like very clear as to what they're like, as to what it is that they're like feel like if they're just like, oh, you don't let me drive your car, or like we're never getting back together, it's like there's not much thought. Like it's just like, okay, like that's what you mean. And it's like, it's just not super
Right,
deep, so it's
right. Th- There,
I don't connect too much to that stuff, but
right.
yeah.
There's this female Asian comedian who's a musician. I forget her name. I will look up the specific reel and I'll send it to you because she plays like a guitar and does like a comedic act with like music and everything. And she had this like bit that was like, this is what every Taylor Swift song sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to watch that. I mean, no hate on Taylor Swift, like whatever. I don't even care. I'm just like,
But
uh,
it's also the same thing for like pretty much all mainstream music.
right, yeah,
Well, at least what mainstream of today has like turned into.
right,
Because like Beyonce, when I was like in, you know, high school, was like Destiny's Child, great R&B, super group. Uh,
yeah,
when she went solo and before I want to say her life was ruined by marrying Jay-Z.
yeah,
And that's when everything, has turned into what she is now. Oh, I grew up with Jay-Z,
mm,
I really liked, his like pre, I want to say 97, because that's just like the definitive year that I can like, you can clearly tell, especially with it's with 90s alternative too, uh,
hmm,
but like specifically with like rap, from like what rap sounded like up to 96.
right,
Well, actually, we can break it down. 90 to 96 rap versus 97 and everything that came after.
hmm,
I mean Eminem, his early stuff, phenomenal.
yeah,
One of the last, 50
yeah, he's
Cent
great.
also. One of fifth, really, it's like the last two people Dr. Dre, produced.
Right, yeah, totally.
Eminem, 50 Cent, the whole, whatever crew that was like with them, some of the last like really great, influential, not just rappers, but like artists, musicians, that had something new to kind of, change the game. And then like, I just think it's like funny when you hear like, Kendrick Lamar and whatever
Right,
the other guy's name is, that
Drake or something.
Drake, yeah, that's it. And they're like having rap battles, and it's like someone who like remembers exactly where I was when I heard that like Biggie and Tupac were
Right,
were shot and dead, and then
yeah,
seeing their both their mothers, do that big thing on the MTV. I guess it was the music or movie awards. I can't remember, one of the two.
mm,
But you know, gr- growing up with that, and then just seeing like where music is at today, where like society is at, where like, you know, like I mean, the fact that
right,
we're arguing over like stuff that's like common sense
mm,
practices, is just like, if you told me when I was 5 years old that when I'm 37 now, this is where the world would be, I would have told you you're fucking nuts. Uh,
yeah,
the 90s were so great, and
mm,
in the 2000s, and I just like I kind of want, find myself wonder. I don't like to get too political, but just like how the hell did we get to where we're at?
mm,
It's
yeah,
like idiocracy, and
mm,
it's like we're literally like de-evolving,
mm,
the more I think like technology becomes available, and
mm,
makes things easier and easier. Well, on one hand, it's great, and especially for musicians and for filmmakers, it's almost like, all this stuff that like, I guess my heroes in film, the people of like the pioneers of like the 80s and 90s, and even, throw in the 70s and 60s, with what musicians had to do back then, what, filmmakers had to do back then to
mhm,
make it, it's like, one, none of that exists now. Like everything is social media, internet
mm,
related, press or publicity in some way. And it just is like, I I think the reason I love like psych rock so much is because I feel like it's one of the only, genres that's like uncorrupted by, you know, corporate not just America, but corporations in
Mm,
general that are like trying to, market, music to basically be like, AI generated
mm,
nonsense. And I often talk about this movie, Josie and the Pussycats. I'm not
mm.
sure if you ever seen it.
I don't think so, no.
It's from the 2000s. It's like stars Rosario Dawson, Tara Reid, Parker Posey. There's like a few other stars in there. Basically, it's like a 2000s kind of movie that had subtext and
Mm,
specifically on the music industry. And I've brought this movie up in the last couple interviews I've done, but basically it's like kind of what's going on right now, foreshadowing. And it's about like there's like the music industry has like these pop groups like who they were playing on at the time was like NSYNC and
mm,
Backstreet Boys. And basically they kill them off in a plane crash. How
mm.
so many other musicians have died.
Yeah.
And then it's basically we need to find a new group that we can put subliminal messaging into and,
Mm.
pump it out and have these girls, the band Josie and the Pussycats, be like
Ah.
the next big star. And then like they have this whole scene in the movie where like the record producer who, finds them is showing how they record these subliminal messages and put them into the music, and then they have like this studio where like all these robot people, young people are like listening with headphones on, and they're like zombies, and then leave it to the goth girl to be like, I don't understand why this is good, this music sucks, and then the music producer guy says, "Oh, really? That's interesting. You mind telling me a little bit more about that?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure." Starts talking. They go outside. A big black van, pulls up, slides open the door, puts a bag over her head, and she's never seen.
Mm.
You know, uh,
Wow.
and then they talk about specifically how whenever like they don't have a musician, who basically goes against, the corporate
Right.
or whatever, they all die in they're a plane crash, drug overdose, or, you know, you know,
Wow.
some way that how many musicians, have you seen all die, you know, in these like similar circumstances where it's like it's all kind of like I mean, you can literally count there's at least five musicians who died in plane crashes. You could probably I could probably look it up and go more.
Wow.
How many
Yeah.
drug overdoses, you know,
Mm.
so it's like I'm thinking of that movie specifically now with like seeing how music is and seeing how Swifties, like react to stuff,
Right.
do stuff. So it's just is it's pretty interesting, like the eeriness of like, were they trying to warn us, of something,
Mm.
but I don't want to dwell too much into that.
That sounds like a cool movie. I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Put it on
it's
my
it's
list.
it's it's fun, It's like a high school, it's like one of those movies that I could go back and watch now and be like, I still enjoy this,
Yeah.
I probably get a lot more like actual appreciation over it now with
Right.
where things are with the state of music and
Totally.
versus back then. But I have a few questions for you here since we are at that time. New segment I'm starting on my show. Literally, you're the second musician and guest to
Awesome.
participate. Since the show is called the Fish Bowl, and
Mm.
the overall metaphor is that, society, fish in the ocean, we should all kind of have enough room to swim and functions, in the sea. So, with that being said, what fish would you be if you could be a fish in the sea?
Whoa. Oh. Oh man. Hmm. I wish I was a little more well versed on fish. I mean,
Any like sea creature,
ooh, maybe
that operates.
a rainbow trout, maybe. That sounds like a cool one. I was gonna say like a guppy, but like then I was like, damn, I'd survive like 2 minutes. Well, I guess it's a fish bowl, so I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Guppies are just so beautiful. Those are the ones that you can get at like a pet store, right? And
Yeah,
they're like
yeah, yeah,
beautiful. Oh,
yeah.
those are so pretty. So yeah, maybe a rainbow trout. What are cool ones? Oh man, I really just love koi fish. I love koi fish. So, hmm. But I don't know if they like. I've only ever seen koi fish on in like ponds, at restaurants or like people's houses or something. But I think I'll go with a koi fish.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. For me, I have said and I'll say it again. I think I'm a mixture between a shark and a salmon.
Ooh.
The shark, you got to be able to swim with the top dogs, essentially,
Right.
business, all that. You got to slay,
Yeah.
and chomp, 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 eat, 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 all the other, sharks out of the sea.
Right.
The reason I say a salmon is because a salmon spends its whole life swimming against the current
Mm.
upstream, and to inseminate, and then it dies, you know.
Wow.
But the point being, it swims against the current, you know,
Right.
and goes upstream.
Totally. Yeah, just making life as difficult as possible.
Right, right. But taking the punches as they go
Right,
and
of course.
continuing to, push past them essentially.
Right.
So that's my fish, me metaphor.
Yeah. I know I
Uh,
wasn't ready for that one, so I was like it took me a second, but whatever. I feel like, you always get asked these questions and later you're like, damn it, I should have said like
right, right.
dolphin or something. Like
Well, it always leaves
uh
room for another swim in the bowl, right?
yeah, totally.
Awesome, awesome. And then a few wrap-her-up questions here, and I apologize for bringing these up last minute because they are kind of
No, no, yeah, yeah.
some key point questions here.
Please go, yeah.
Um, One, with having you on the show and Pink Breath of Heaven, how did you come up with that name for the band?
Yeah, so I was actually at the San Francisco Zoo and going through they have a fragrance garden at the San Francisco Zoo. And I was walking through the garden and I saw this one plant called Pink Breath of Heaven. And I was just like, wow, that's a really cool name. And at the same time, I was also going through the stage of looking for a band name. When you're looking for a band name, it takes time because you have all these different ideas and you're just like, ugh, that sucks. And like it was just like, oh wow, that's exactly what I was looking for. And then yeah, that's when I kind of chose my name or the name of the band. So it kind of just worked out that way. I'm really happy that I was able to like find something I really like because I've been in bands before where I pick a name and then I'm just like, ugh, I didn't like that. I don't actually like that anymore. So I think I'm really, yeah, I'm really glad that I was able to find that. But yeah, that's the story.
Well, since you said that, I have to just reiterate, "Blue is the morning." Like you saying that, I'm like, I can see flowers. Actually, I can
Mm,
imagine, not the no pun intended, a field of of just like, blue
mm,
is the morning. Blue,
right.
like a field of just like, I don't know if it's like me, you know, like in my own mind, imagining if I was like on acid or something, or like some, like the music video from Blind Melon, with the
Ooh, yeah.
girl in the bumblebee outfit, and she's
Cool.
of running around in the field with the sunflowers and stuff, you know,
Oh, that sounds awesome.
but I imagine like if walking into just open, like beautiful blue sky, beautiful, just endless, blue flowers or whatever. So
Yeah.
I can see that. The other thing I wanted to ask you is, I always like to ask this, who did the cover art for your album cover?
Yeah, so the cover art is from a photographer in San Francisco. She's awesome. Her name's Tosh. Her Instagram is New Pleasure Photos. And man, that cover, we did a photo shoot and all the photos were awesome. But that one photo, I was like, wow. Like, and it was film. So it was like, we didn't know what was happening when we were doing it. We literally, with film, you're just like, it's like, let's
Right, right.
see, like, and so, we kind of were just we're just like, okay, this will look cool if we do this here. And I think the coolest part of that photo is my hand is almost exactly touching the horizon. And,
Yeah,
that wasn't planned. That wasn't like, it was literally just like move around your body, like, and like, yeah, I am so in love with that photo. She is incredibly talented. She did such an amazing job, and I am just so lucky to have been able to work with her and to get that photo, because I look at it now and I'm just like, man, that's a timeless photo right there. Like that's and there were other things I was looking at for the album cover too, and I'm just like, wow, so glad I didn't choose that. Holy crap. So yeah, it's Tosh. I don't want to butcher her last name, but her full name is on the album, and it's like everywhere we've posted the album. And her Instagram is New Pleasure Photos. So yeah, she's great. If you're looking for photos in San Francisco, like totally reach out to her. She's great.
awesome, awesome. On the subject of music and film, who are some of your favorite current bands and just bands in general, and what are some of your favorite films? And I have two more questions after that, and I swear to God, that's it.
Yeah, no, totally. So some of my favorite bands right now, hmm, I'm going through a weird period in my life right now where I haven't really been. It's very odd because I'm a musician and I am incredibly inspired by music, and that's actually what inspires my music the most is listening to music and being like,
Mhm.
oh, like, wow. But I haven't been listening to a lot of music recently. I would say the bands that I've been most inspired by recently, there is a band. Well, I found this song recently called "Sleep Forever" by Crocodiles, which I've been like obsessed with, and they're like this psych rock band, like from like the early 2000s, late 2000s. And this other band, The Black Rider, which I started listening to a few months ago. Actually, I hadn't even listened to them before, but wow, they are so awesome. And I'm trying to think if there anyone else I've been listening to recently. Those are my two main ones right now. And in terms of just inspiration and like just loving the sound, and Crocodiles kind of reminds me of Spaceman 3 a little bit, which I'm sure that they were, you know, in inspiration of them when they wrote their music. But films, man, I'm trying to think of like recent or like,
Just in general, like whatever
okay,
whatever like emanates with you, your
yeah,
your favorites of all time, ones
right,
you know couldn't go without.
right. Well, this is always a hard question for me because I feel like I always forget when someone asks me, and I'm just like, like because I have favorite films. So it's like I love films, and like the best part of films for me is a lot of time, like we talked earlier, is there's sometimes songs you discover in films, and
Right.
this song becomes like just one of the most amazing songs you've ever heard in your life because they combine it with this image that's just like perfect. Okay, well, I've always told people my favorite movie of all time is Moulin Rouge. That's always kind of just been my number one. I I've kind of I've kind of been in this phase of like, damn, I think Moulin Rouge taught me like unhealthy romantic patterns. So, but I absolutely love that movie. I even have a tattoo of a song from that movie. Ewan McGregor, like, I want him to do more singing films. I think he's awesome. But I also am a huge fan of The Dark Knight. I love the Dark Knight series. I think the scores are also amazing. Heath Ledger, that's like one of the best acting I've ever seen in my life. And I just love him so much. I'm just gonna name things that are coming to mind. There's
Definitely.
this movie called Dallas Buyers Club. I love that movie. I
Great
think
movie.
Jared Leto's best performance ever. Makes me think of Requiem for a Dream. That movie actually really fucked me up, to be honest. I don't know if I could actually watch it again, but it was really good. So, oh
I'm the
man,
same way with that movie.
yeah. I mean, man, it just made me feel some type of
Okay.
way, but it was really good. I mean, what you have to make a good movie to feel that way. So,
Right.
I mean, I love so many movies, and it's hard to like put it down to a few. And I'm sure I'll think some later where I'm like, gosh, I should have said that. But those are some I'm thinking about right now. And yeah,
Well,
there's definitely more. I'm just going on a stream of consciousness right now.
on the Rodriguez note that we
Mm,
talked about earlier with that really cool story.
yeah.
I I have to say his Once Upon a Time in Mexico trilogy,
Ooh,
Desperado in
right.
particular, talk about like music and a scene.
Yeah,
You know, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, Spy Kids,
right.
you Planet Terror.
Mm,
The list could literally go on there. Tarantino with Jackie Brown,
yeah,
Pulp Fiction, specific scenes. You'll always remember that Al Green song from being in Marcellus Wallace's office. You know,
yeah,
Reservoir Dogs, Steelers Wheel, Stuck in the Middle with You. Will
right.
always remind me of
Oh
the,
man, I just forgot about actually like my favorite freaking movie. It's Chungking Express. I don't know if you've ever seen that one, but it is so good. It's from the same director. I don't remember his name, but he also did In the Mood for Love. And that movie is just so good. I remember I watched it because I was at Goodwill and I just found this movie that looked, I was like, oh, this looks cool. And then I watched it and I was like, whoa, like Goodwill movie. Hell yeah. Sorry, it just popped in my head and I
no,
completely
no,
forgot
no.
about it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Last two questions for you. Any other upcoming projects, tour dates, special announcements? And the final question, what three bands slash guests would you recommend to come on the show?
Oh, okay. So future tour dates, we haven't really announced anything yet. We're definitely working on a lot of stuff and we are trying to tour, we're trying to get out there more. And it's kind of just, you know, we just released this album and
Right.
it's been surprising how much has been received. And so I think it's kind of, we're in this period of like, okay, what exactly sort of tour can we do? And like what we're just still figuring out all the logistics and like what it is we want to do and what it is we can do, So yeah, we're still working on that. Our goal is to tour, like, as much as possible and we definitely will have some really cool stuff coming up. We have some festivals booked that we're going to announce soon and this year, and so that'll be fun. But yeah, as of right now, we don't really have anything announced show wise, but we will very soon. And upcoming projects. yeah, I mean, we'll probably release some more stuff this year. That's kind of all I'll say, but we want to keep releasing music and stuff, so that's something to think about. And some other artists have. I'm trying to think. It might be cool. Man, I'm really picky. So like I bands I like are in a small little pool. But I mean, I might as well shout out some, San Francisco bands and some Austin bands. There's this cool band called the Dead Canyon Family Reunion. They're like this psych rock band in Austin that are really cool.
I am
And they're
familiar with
really,
them. They are
yeah,
excellent.
yeah, they're really, really cool, really nice people. So I recommend them. And there's this cool band in San Francisco called Aluminum. They're like a shoegaze band and they're awesome. And, they're one of the bigger shoegaze bands in the San Francisco Bay Area. And sorry, I'm just so bad at this.
Didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Oh, there's another band called April Magazine who are really, really awesome in the San Francisco scene. They're a little hard to pin down. So, it might not work out for an interview with them because they're all only about the music. They don't really care about anything else, which is like great. It's great.
Right.
So yeah, those are kind of my recommendations.
Awesome. Well, I have to throw in one more thing because speaking of Austin, I took a trip there a few years back, had a great time,
Hmm.
visited, didn't really like know the area though.
Yeah.
So I definitely, if I was to go back, I have a list of like things to, things like the levitation.
Right.
I'm saying that right. The festival, the music venue.
Yeah, Levitation and
Yeah.
Austin Psych Fest, they both were run by the Levitation people.
Yes. I've been sharing everything that they've been posting. I would love to go there. I am a big fan of the most offensive type of comedy that there is out there. So that being
Yes.
said, Kill Tony, Tony Hinchcliffe, Redband,
Yes.
Brian Redband, that whole crew, Rogan. If I were to go back, when I go back to Austin, it's a thing to go there to the mothership,
Right.
and then I also have to give a shout out to, oddly enough, this burger chain restaurant, Whataburger.
Oh my gosh, Wahlburger is so good. It's ridiculous.
My first trip to Austin, I was traveling with my mom and sister to San Antonio to visit like the Alamo and everything, on like a little summer trip. Work, my mom was technically on work, but it was like a family trip, and we initially just stopped to get like a little snack, and then we were like, "Holy shit, this food is like unreal!"
It's like
Uh,
crack.
right.
Yeah, I mean, the best time to go get Whataburger is either before 11 a.m., which I usually don't do as much, but if you go after 11, it's either 11 or 11:30 p.m., you can get breakfast and you can get their honey butter chicken biscuit. And man, that shit is so good. I've done it so many times. I'll even wait. I'll just be like, I'm just gonna wait till like 11:30. Go get it. It's even better when you're drunk because you're just like, wow, so
You
good.
know, I I just had to throw that in there before it slipped my
Yeah,
mind because I was like, my one and only trip to Texas, Austin and San Antonio. I had to give a shout out to
so good.
to Whataburger because Pittsburgh, that's where I'm located, and we only have like, like the regular, the common,
Hmm.
like fast. There's no like, places like Whataburger.
Right.
They're like
Yeah, it's a southern thing.
it's a southern thing, exactly.
Yeah.
And the other thing I was gonna say, what do you think of In-N-Out versus Whataburger?
Oh man, I mean I like In-N-Out. I've never been like someone that's like In-N-Out, it's like the best. I think it's good. I mean, Pete Terry's a better comparison for me is Pete Terry's and In-N-Out, and I think Pete Terry's is better.
Right.
Pete Terry's is like I don't know if it's outside of Texas, but it's a Texas thing.
Okay.
Um, But
See, this
yeah.
is giving me like a whole list of like restaurants to try
Yeah.
next time I go down there because
Terry's, you gotta try it. It's great.
I have a friend and former manager that's from Austin. So next time I go down there, I'm like trying to like, have a whole list of like of
Yeah.
things to do,
Yeah. Well,
that
hit
I
me up next
know
time you hit me up when you come, and I'll let you. I'll give you a list or something. Things to
that
check
that
out.
that would be awesome. And
Yeah.
the last thing I just want to say is if you whenever the band is putting a tour, dates or cities together, please, please, please come to Pittsburgh.
Heck yeah.
I will be happy to give you a list of all the venues to contact,
Totally.
the best ones, best audience capture and all that, pertains to, shoegaze and, rock stuff like that in general.
Yeah.
And it would be a pleasure to meet you in person, the band and
Absolutely.
everything. So, Liv, thank you so, so much for
Thank you.
taking the time to swim in the bowl with me.
Heck yeah.
Again, I hope the temperature was just right.
Yeah, it was thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sam. It was a lot of fun and hope to talk to you soon. And of course, if we ever play in Pittsburgh, I'll reach you out. At this point, we want to play as much as we can and in as many places. So it kind of just comes down to like logistics and
Right.
booking and everything. So yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. I cannot wait for more music from Liv Field, Pink Breath of Heaven, and to get you on the show for another swim in the bowl.
Yes. Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Great having you on the show. Great chat. Cannot wait till next time.
Yeah, staying here. Sounds good. Speak to you soon.
Awesome. Hey there, all my fishes in the sea. Thanks for tuning into today's episode and for being a subscriber. Your continued listenership and support means the most and helps keep the show growing to deeper and deeper depths. I want to let all my guppies in the sea know the Fisch Bowl has now officially partnered with FastCustomShirts.com, where they're now selling custom Fisch Bowl t-shirts under their podcast and website section. Every t-shirt that's purchased helps and goes a long way to keep the show growing to deeper and deeper and higher depths. I also now have custom hats, beanies, handbags, pens, mouse pads, everything to make you look like the coolest looking fish in the sea, which you can DM me directly on Instagram at the Fisch Bowl 88 or on Facebook at just the Fisch Bowl, or you can friend request me, Sam Fish, directly and get yours today. Your continued listenership and support again means the most. It's the most important fishes that flock together. We are a school of fish and we keep the unit going. Let's all keep swimming upstream.